Yeah, I mean, things are pretty much the same for us. I would say we're still sort of chugging along. Submitted the equipment specs up for approval last week, so hopefully within this week we'll be able to get approval on it, and then we'll be able to order everything.
Wow.
Um, we are running a little bit shorter on time as sort of expected. Ideally we would have been. I mean, it just depends on sort of how fast things will go. We're not technically that far behind, but
Hmm.
it will be cutting it kind of close just because if we place order for this week, then like everything will come within the next couple weeks.
Mm,
So then hopefully, we'll be able to get the space set up. The branding should be done sort of middle of October, and then we need to sort of hurry and get all the food photographs and then be able to get a menu up and running, put up the signage and get all like the social media stuff up as well. So
mm,
these are definitely moving. But yeah, I would say we're still in a little bit of a lull state. I think as soon as we place the equipment in, then it's going to start to be like, okay, how can we start utilizing the space at Sterling to the best of our abilities? And
mhm,
so, over this week, I'm going to also start looking into wholesale
mhm,
vendors up in the suburbs and then go
mhm,
pay them a visit and then see what we can work out with them in terms of like deliveries and things like that.
mhm,
But yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, things are pretty much the same old. Jimmy's still in Korea. He was obviously able to get the equipment, and so we have the equipment coming in hopefully by October like 10th or so. So we'll
mhm,
we'll be able to have the rice roller.
mhm,
So yeah, that's sort of where we're at.
mhm. Did the signing for the specs and stuff take any longer than you expected, or was it just in time?
Um,
What's the? It seems like there were some parts that may be off schedule a bit on your end. Well,
Well,
let's just take your end.
theoretically, the building approval was supposed to take a couple days,
Yeah.
and like it's been a couple days, so like we need to reach back out to them. Essentially, at the beginning when we started, it essentially took a week longer than we had anticipated it to
Mm,
take, and so I think that's what the delay was. Is just at the beginning. Once we got the initial design, then like the sort of iterations back and forth didn't take too long.
okay. Okay. So I guess it's more on the food hall side, which has been slightly slower in response.
Well, it was at the beginning too, is like when we first set up the equipment, it was like it just took us a little longer to
Mm,
finalize, like it took them a little bit longer to get that first draft over to us.
yeah.
Once we got the first draft over, then like the iterations and stuff like that didn't take too long,
Okay.
which wasn't that bad. It was just that first initial drawing that ended up taking just a little bit longer than expected.
Mm, I see. I see.
Yeah.
So at this current moment, I'm guessing since I haven't paid the visit after last time I went, the food hall looks the same, I'm guessing.
There's no
It's just
difference.
that a lot of the back end stuff you guys had to make decisions on whether that was equipment and actually getting the design, measurements, and I guess the signage now.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it's going to take a couple of weeks or a few weeks to get that order in place to and receive, right?
Just receive it. Once we put the order in, a lot of this is already in the
Okay.
inventory of
Uh-huh.
what they have. And
Hmm.
so like they'll just have to get it over to us, which is just delivery, which
Hmm.
shouldn't, they could get it over to some of these materials, they can get over to us pretty quick.
Okay.
I think it's just like, just the functionality of like, when are we going to get it in? And like, like essentially the longest piece of equipment is going to take about 2 to 3 weeks.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. I see. And I'm just curious as well. Do you have are you guys able to also like change, the designs in the back? Like I know like when I went last time, you guys had some I think it was the previous people who had some things left over, maybe residues of
Yeah.
glue and things like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I think little things like that, if we can take it off, we just take it off as long
yeah.
as we don't like cause any accidents. Essentially, anything we can do by ourselves, we can.
Hmm.
Unless
Hmm.
if it requires like a permit where like the building has to get involved, then like we have to get a contract worker. But like
Hmm.
if it's anything we can do on a smaller scale, they don't really
Hmm.
care.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I also remember the conversation that you had, was it Bob or what's the
Bobby,
guy?
yeah.
Yeah, Bobby. And I think you guys were talking about like, oh, if you do this, you technically have to like get permit or
Mhm.
have these worker where you pay like an enormous amount of money for them to come in and that. Any insights on like what ended up happening in your case with the designs
Yeah,
did you avoid those?
we just felt it wasn't worth it to even just think about like engage them. And
Mm.
so I think we're just going to take the stall literally as is, and then we will
Mm.
what is necessary. I think the only thing we will probably reconsider is painting the place differently.
Okay.
But even that, I think is like if we can get to it, we'll get to it. If not, then it's okay.
Okay. Okay. Huh. I like that idea. Interesting. Did maybe the other food stall did they paint their place? Is that a thing they
No,
did?
I mean theirs is like a pretty neutral white color. I think
Mm.
ours is like the only one that's like dark black. And so I don't know. I mean, we can like if we just take a weekend and like we just go and paint the place, it's not really a big deal. Like if we
Mm.
just paint it on Saturday morning, then I'm sure we could make it look however we wanted to make it look. But
Okay.
I think for now we're just like let's just see what our branding work comes out to as well.
Hmm. Mm.
And then if the branding work will come out pretty well, then like I think we don't really have much to worry about.
Mm.
Yeah, because then what we'll
Mm.
do is we'll work with Erica to figure out like we have that marble that's like a certain color, and
Yeah.
so maybe we need to figure out like how do we, color the rest of it differently so that like the counter space and the marble still works with the color schematic that we choose.
Hmm.
But that will require a little bit more sort of more extensive work, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. How did it go with the new car?
Yeah, so the car, we have a car.
So you bought a car.
We bought a car.
Okay.
It was not an easy process to get one. Buying a used car is probably it's a pain in the butt because they've already essentially like there's no proof, right, that like it's a good car.
Mm.
So we ended up doing like the pre-purchase inspections on it, and then you go into negotiations with the car dealers, and like it's just a big headache. And at the end of the day, it's all about price, and you try to come down and you negotiate and you do this, and then you think you come to a good deal, but like they have to make money too, and so they're fighting for the same thing. Essentially, like things get pretty hairy, especially if they hold their ground, like I hold my ground. And so, long story short, there's some things that so there's a new car that we found that's like basically the same thing as a Subaru Outback. It's a great car,
Mm.
but there's some like fixes that we have to do to it, very minor. Essentially, they said they would make all the fixes necessary, and then we would just take the car and like they came down on the price just a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, that's sort of like the best case scenario. The only thing is like not everything was fixed because they ordered some parts that they need to get, and
Hmm.
so I essentially need to go back to them sometime this upcoming week,
Mm.
and then wait while they fix it, which is a pain in the butt. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at this point, it's just like we got a car. That's all that matters. Like now we can
Hmm.
actually move on and do the other things because like there's a lot of other things that require our attention.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the most annoying feeling where it's like you're like 90% there, but it's technically not off your checklist. So you still have it on there
Yeah,
and you have to kind of like keep in track of that. And
yeah,
I mean, I guess, you and your team have a lot of things to keep in mind as the opening is coming
yeah,
close. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
That's exactly
frustrating.
right. And so it just once I'm like I'm okay with it now. Like I fought hard for it for a few days like last week.
Hmm.
Essentially last week was all spent on just finding the car, and
Yeah.
then now I'm just like I'm over it. So
Okay. Good.
I
Good.
do have a car though. It's a nice car, so it'll serve us well.
Yeah. No, I think that's, yeah, huge step. Yeah. Now you have a car, you can transport your stuff as needed and no need to go to, was it Avis or something?
Avis,
Yeah,
yeah, Avis
Avis.
and
Yeah.
the car at the end, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. And
Yeah.
like financially is like an incredibly stupid, just costs so much money. So
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. One step at a time. And
yeah.
any then does that mean any adjustment to the, I guess, the soft opening date, or still on track or
No,
still
I mean
eyeing for that date?
yeah, I think still November 3rd is our like opening date. Like I don't think
Hmm.
we're gonna change too far from that. I think, maybe the Friday before we might have a small event
Mm-hmm.
in the evening time, but I imagine I don't really imagine anything too crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
um if we do, like we'll probably announce it like the week before if we're ready on time. So
Mm-hmm. Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And then
How's
it's
the
off the
yeah.
races. So
Yeah, I guess that's, oh, and also that'll be kind of when I guess winter starts rolling around as well.
that's right. Yep. So in a sense, it's good because hopefully demand won't be too crazy and we can like actually manage and like we'll learn and like we'll be able to scale and figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Hmm.
On the other hand, it's like, we hope that like I know our opening will be strong. So like there will be demand and like,
Hmm.
we'll sell out at least like of the first few when we do like capped, production. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, cool. How's the design process been? Um, is there any major like new updates on there, or is it still just in the brainstorming
Not
phases?
yet. She's basically taken some of the feedback that we've given her and like she's like now going back and like revising and like coming back with essentially like a round one of like here's like the completed sort of idea and like the schematic, and then we'll probably do like more edits, but like smaller edits so that
Mm-hmm.
we can essentially get moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looked good. I mean, I think we're pretty aligned on sort of what Jimmy and I want, and then we
Mm-hmm.
gave her the right feedback, and we'll be meeting this upcoming Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll basically present to us what she has, and then we'll hopefully be able to move real fast after that.
Wow. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to show designs right now, but like, what are some keywords
Yeah.
that you guys emphasize during the process?
Yeah, so the first thing we want is like we really like the idea of a mascot. The only reason being like a mascot is flexible and I think it's easy to like have the identity come alive.
Yeah,
And for us like we really like the idea of a rabbit. Essentially for like one, it's quick, right? Like if you think
quick.
of body,
Yeah,
it's like the whole thematic is it being quick.
yeah,
And rabbit is pretty like Korean, like especially in the ways that you can draw it. Like probably the other animal that is very Korean is a tiger,
yeah.
but the tiger is widely used and I think a
Used.
little overused.
Mm,
So for us, I think it's like more of a quick, we want it to be fast. So like we think a rabbit is very on theme. So like we want to keep with a rabbit. And then for the logo, again, I think everything is just about like simplicity and like we like the idea of it being simple. We want it to
mm,
be sort of like a timeless feature. And then we want it to be very similar to like who we are, sort of like, we're Korean, so we like that aesthetic. We like making things look nice, but also we're like pretty Midwestern. So like we like simple. Like we don't really like super flair, super curly, wavy, fancy. Like that to us is not who we are.
mm,
And so those are like sort of the key elements of like, hey, then essentially that's like what we came to the board with when we talked with Erica is like, hey, here are some of the traits that we think will represent 82 Kimbap pretty well. And it's sort of like a reflection on us and sort of what we want this brand to be.
mm,
And so that was sort of the discussion. I think that went on with that.
mm. Wow. A rabbit. I'm looking forward to this. Oh, interesting. I guess maybe in the future, a collab with are they called New Jeans now, or are they different name now? But aren't they like bunnies on their album?
Oh, I guess, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I don't know. I
So
think,
hey.
yeah, yeah. I think we were just thinking of it like, hey, like it's very on theme of it being quick, like
Yeah,
rabbits,
yeah.
quick, and like it's a very good animal, I think, to represent us. So
Yeah, I'd say because like I think I forgot the name in Korean, but like isn't there like a full moon day where like the rabbit is also like on the moon, like hitting rice cakes or something?
maybe I always want
I
to
have
look it
no
up.
idea what.
But also we have a fake, not a fake, but we have like a test social media account that's just keep bop 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 to the moon.
Oh
So
no,
like,
it's exposed.
that's just like keep
Anyways,
up to the moon. So it's like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
like yeah,
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, I think every trial before like official public launch makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, no, looking forward to this. And I guess since the rice is still purple, I think the purple's staying with the identity then.
hmm
Hmm.
Purple is still on theme. We will keep the rice. I will say visually, it looks a lot better when we used to roll it the way we did, but like it's just not realistic to mass produce that. And so we
Yeah.
actually ended up getting a mold that works out great for us, and that
Mm,
looks very round. It looks great, and so we're
hmm.
very happy with that.
Mm,
Um, so the egg situation has pretty much been resolved. We just need to figure out how to like we just basically need to go and test it a few times and just make sure we can get like the timing of it down. But
mm.
yeah, it's coming to life.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, some people might hear this and say, well, like, it's an extension of what happened last week, and a lot of this are, not the most exciting stuff when people are kind of listening, but it just goes to show that like every step of the process to getting to, the final product, there's so many different parts and
Yeah, and I
necessary
mean
parts.
that's like what execution is like it like it's one of those things, and this is one of the things that Jimmy and I just talked about right before this was essentially whenever you say yeah we'll think about it, or like yeah we need to do this and like we'll get to that, or like hey yeah like we'll just put a little more thought into it, like we no longer have the ability or the time to be able to say that. Essentially execution means that you make decisions and you need to do it now, right? And so I think that's what we're learning of like you just need to do stuff. Like just make the decision, right? Like think about it now. Don't push it aside, because if you keep pushing it aside, you will continue to just say, "Hey, let's just think about it," and you'll never really get around to it.
Mm,
And so I think what my sort of philosophy now is like if I think about it in that moment, I want to get some sort of resolution out of it. And
Mm,
so if there's a roadblock to me getting to that, then at least I want to be able to fix that roadblock so that I can actually do this whenever that roadblock gets fixed. But I essentially need to take it as far as I can in that moment. Otherwise, I'm just not going to come back to it.
mm,
Uh,
wow.
and
Wow.
so it's, and actually a few friends were over this weekend and we were just chatting, but essentially the idea is execution drives everything. Like execution is the name of the game. Ideas, as good as they are and as important as they are, doesn't really matter. Like if you can have the most ideas in the world, if you can't execute on any of them, it doesn't matter.
Mm,
If you have a really crappy idea, but you execute it probably to the best that of anyone can, then you're going to be still successful no matter what.
mm,
Like essentially all these metrics, all these numbers, like everything is essentially driven on the idea of execution. Like if you can execute things, if you can get things done,
mm,
that will account for more than any kind of creative idea, some genius marketing plan. Like none of that really matters. Like unless you have
mm.
a way to get it to come to life.
Yeah. No, I can't agree more. And I think this just reminds me of one of our conversations, actually, even before maybe we started doing these, weekly updates, is that I remember you talking about the first time when you was preparing a post on Instagram. I think you were like, "Hey, like, I know I personally don't want to, I'm not like a big social media guy. I don't want to be on public on social media that much, but then, it has to be done." And I think you saw the upsides of doing it. And of course, you put a lot of work into it, but at the end of the day, it was just, putting yourself out there, like just showing your face, telling your story. I'm assuming there's probably a lot of, ajumas out there who are like, hey, I can, make better kimbap than, some random dude like for them like on the internet selling kimbap, but like, hey, well, like why aren't they doing it, right? And why
Yeah,
aren't they in Sterling Food Hall? And I think that just goes to show that, who's willing to put that effort,
yeah,
put a twist to it, innovate more, and be able to find the niche and the demand for it. And yeah, there you go. I think yeah, you've been showing improving since a few
yeah.
months ago.
And I think that's the idea is like we just I think the philosophy is like you just like if you think that this first iteration of whatever you're trying is going to be successful, I think you're delusional. Like I think that's not the point. I think there's just no other option besides trying it and figuring things out as you go. Like there's a world in which maybe we go a very different route from where we started and we choose a completely different path because that's what we find works, right? I think the idea, though, is that until you actually start and figure things out and see that for yourself, you can do all the hypothesizing in the world, but like that's not how the world works. That's not how the markets work.
Yep.
And so, I think we're very attuned to that. And so we will give it our best shot when we first open, obviously, and we will make sure that things are successful. But I think it's also a process of like, how do we keep our eyes and ears open to seeing if there's actual trends in the data that like signify that there's something else there that might be really successful.
Hmm.
Because again, like again, the idea is just like we are going to try to get the best product out there at the beginning and just sort of see what happens.
Hmm.
In reality, though, what actually sells and what does really well might be very different from what our expectations are.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I can't agree more.
So we'll have to see. I mean, it's going to be tough. I say this, it's easy to say stuff, but like in reality, there's a sense of like not like fear, but like, once we actually start, it's going to be like my life and like you have to make things work and you're going to have people on payroll and like it's going to be a very different lifestyle than like the sort of the vacation that I'm taking now of like, being able to sleep in and work out and things like that. I think when it comes to crunch time, it'll really, I have to find a little bit of balance in there somewhere, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I mean, I have to make it work, right? So, a lot
Hmm.
of that will just be driven by how much, I'm open to, learning and seeing and how much work I put in. And a
Hmm.
lot based on luck too, but if you don't try, you don't know how lucky you can get.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, definitely. Wow. Yeah, no, I think these are very crucial steps. And I think, sometimes I look back and I realize that when I was looking back at my diaries or journals, most of the times I've been writing when there were something bad happening. And it was like something difficult, and I'd be like, oh, I need to, write this down. But then when I was doing well, or maybe when I was doing something that I just needed to do at the time, I
Mm.
didn't really record that as much. And recently I've been kind of journaling more consistently, whether there was, something to talk about or not. I've realized that while like each of the steps were necessary and it was, important to building something bigger. And I think, today kind of just shows me that. I mean, those, having the specs. And of course, you realize that sometimes you just gotta, you do the part you do, and then, you know, you kind of have to wait. Of course, it seems like you're following up and doing all that stuff, but uh, you can't just be by yourself in this world. Yeah. So,
Yeah. It is kind of it'll be interesting because like my parents are like my entire family is coming for the opening. Jimmy's family is coming for the opening. So like we were like this is pretty real, and like we were talking about press releases and things like that, and
wow.
it's like it's pretty out there. So like we gotta.
Wait, your parents are flying from Korea?
Yeah, so like my parents actually had planned a trip like a year in advance, and it just happened to fall on similar dates. They were originally just going to go to Austin in Texas, but they were like, if they're going to be in the States
Yeah.
and we're opening that month, like they might as
Mhm.
well just swing by and see us. So
Wow. Well,
yeah,
then that's huge. That's
yeah, it'll be very interesting. It'll be very exciting, but also very, very like whoa, like we're really starting. So
wow. Yeah.
should be.
Well, yeah. No, I think there's let's just say what, maybe a month left. So,
Yep. This is crunch time now. Now is every second, every day of everything that we do now matters. So
hmm,
just have to get moving.
hmm. So what's up next?
Yeah.
What's happening right after now?
Yeah, I mean there's quite a few things happening. One, we just posted an Indeed, so we're looking to hire, and so we're gonna post on Instagram as well.
Hmm.
So we're gonna hire a couple people, at least I think probably three or four people,
Hmm.
of which a couple of them are just gonna be part-time for lunch.
Hmm.
And so we will hire people that is on the agenda, and then we're gonna look into supply chain. So figuring out who and where we can wholesale some of these products from and get it at scale. We have some vendors in mind, and so we're going to pay them a visit this week. Hopefully, we can order the equipment this week as well, and so we can actually start setting up the space as we want to. So that means that I'm probably going to go in at some point and start cleaning up the space and sort of making it our own.
Hmm.
Um, and then branding later this week, we will look at round one and then just sort of revise what we need. So
Hmm.
essentially, the big themes for this week is hiring people and then um, supply chain, pretty much. We are very close to finalizing our product, so we're pretty much on the final stages there.
Hmm. Wow. Any specific reason for Indeed? Is that just the go-to
Indeed
you
is
saw?
like the place apparently where all the restaurant people put jobs, and so
Oh,
like
okay.
essentially that's like the main source of where people just put all their jobs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. That's yeah, that's I don't know. I think it's hard for me to like put myself in that situation where you mentioned about like you paying the payroll. Like if you do internships or if you do part-time jobs, like what it feels like to be the employee, but like
hmm
for you to be now transitioning into an employer and I guess being in charge of, the income that that person is getting and how that affects them as well. So, yeah, I mean, I've heard stories, I've read books about people that said it was quite stressful, and I guess you're starting to get like prepared for that as well. But
yeah,
what does it feel like? How would you describe that? I mean, you haven't started, but like,
yeah.
what's that feeling like?
Well, I will say I'm first off, I mean, I'm like super excited. I'm excited to have a team. I'm excited to have
Hmm.
sort of like a dedicated team to like, try and do this together. Doing this alone isn't going to be impossible, and like it's just not fun.
Hmm.
So I'm really excited to create a team and to create a culture. I think like sort of the leadership capabilities will really, that's where I'll be able to learn a lot. I think it's a
Hmm.
partially a learning thing for me too, of like, hey, like I'm now in officially like a leadership role, and like I I am sort of like the end all be all at this point, of what we're doing, me and Jimmy. And so it's really exciting, because I think with a great team, I mean, you can do so many things. Like the world is your oyster. With not a great team, it's probably the reverse of that. But I'm excited for that chance. So I'm excited to be able to cultivate that kind of team. I think for me that's been something that I've always wanted.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. I mean, financially, like running a business is no joke. Also, Business is brutal. I like we've had some pretty not so great experiences with a lot of like vendors and stuff like that, especially
Hmm.
like these used car people we're not great to work with. Like,
Hmm.
so a couple of the people that like we've just interacted with that were just like, yeah, like business is cutthroat. Like you need to be a shark out here. You can't just sit here and be like, oh yeah, like maybe we'll do this. Or like, oh yeah, everything sounds good. No, you have to like you basically have to fight for what you think is right. Now, obviously, to your customers and to the like the other small business owners that are incredibly supportive, like we will be nothing but supportive back. But besides that, like everybody's out for themselves, right? It's business, it's money, right? And so like every dollar counts and everything, every detail, every line, so I think that the mindset now is like we will always be on the offensive, if that makes sense. And from a business perspective, it's like don't take things for granted. Like we got scammed once. It's like something sounds good to be true, then like you need to look a little more into it and all these little things. And like I think we're just, it's and for better or for worse, right? It's not probably not a good thing, but like I think we're becoming more attuned to the fact that like it's not going to be smooth sailing. Like you basically need to, I don't know, I guess if it's a boat, like you basically need to have a battleship ready.
Wow. Well, yeah, it seems like yeah, the game is starting.
It is. It is. For better or for worse.
I guess also the most important parts and the most live actions are coming soon as well. So
Yes.
excited to see things come to play. And I guess, beforehand it was mostly pop-ups, test trials, and testing the vision. And now, bit by bit, you're making your virtual world that was in your head into reality. You're going to be able to touch the equipment, be in that space at that time when
Yep.
people are bustling. So excited for that beginning and excited for the new level up of becoming a leader of your organization business as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
looking forward to that growth as well. So
Thank you.
great seeing that things are moving ahead and there's lessons to be learned as well. I think that's just the best scenario as well.
I agree. I agree. It should be fun.
Awesome. Great, Michael. No, it seems like yeah, a lot of operation heavy week and it seems like it's a bit more to come as well, but I'm excited for the transition, the next chapter of being install in everyone's daily lives.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll give you an update next week.
Great.
All right.
See you, Michael.
See ya.